Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Us converts / reverts.
Reverts are here today to discuss some misconceptions within our community. We're gonna play true or false.
Let's get right into it. True, false.
False. No.
You definitely don't have to change your name.
You don't have to, but you can.
Well, false. I know there's a lot of people who do, and that's like a personal choice. I wouldn't say it's necessary.
I personally did not change my name after reverting. I think that a name is just a personal identity. Since Islam is a universal religion, you can have whatever name you choose.
You don't have to change your name, but there are some caveats to the rule. You might have a name that has to do with like a pagan religion or something, and then you should change your name. So you don't have to change your name, but you can if you want, inshallah.
Yes, because technically the Prophet said we were all once Muslim before, and then our parents changed us to something else. So technically it is a revert.
If I stray away or if I'm born into a different religion, then if I find Islam, then I'm a revert technically.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. There's no answer to that one.
That's in the middle, so it can be either way. It really boils down to someone's preference, you know, like I mentioned, and I've mentioned in many talks, some individuals prefer converts because it's easy to give dawah with saying convert versus reverts because you have to go more in detailed about the fitra and you were born into this faith as a Muslim or, you know, into this world as a Muslim and you just kind of, your parents took you this way or that way. But honestly, either one works.
Yes, true.
Yes.
I say yes.
Is there a middle button?
I believe it's false.
No, they're not accepting oftentimes.
You know, it could be a lot better, but I'm not gonna say like false.
I'd say my experience so far, everyone has been very nice to me. Everyone has been very accepting of me.
Muslims are like, mashallah, you know, like we're happy that you're part of being Muslim now. So very happy about that, yeah.
I've experienced both. So on one hand, I've had a lot of my Muslim friends be very supportive and happy that I found myself in a position where I am happier. But I've also had people in the community judge me the choices that I did make before. It made me feel like I couldn't move past that.
Sometimes it depends on the community. I feel like if you go to certain masjids, you're more accepted. It's more of like, oh, let's help you out. But in some places, it's more of like, they give you shahada and then it's like, all right.
I believe a lot of revert Muslims leave the faith shortly after is because they're kind of just left there after with no guidance. No one to really tell them like how to do salah, how to learn Arabic and stuff like that. I think a lot of reverts just kind of left in the dark after a short while.
I hear so many stories and it's very disappointing that all the time they feel left out. They feel like second-class citizens. They feel like they're not accepted for whatever reason it is, whether it's their background, whether it's their color. Even though our Islam teaches us to not be racist, there's a lot of racism. Let's keep it real. There's a lot of racism within our communities and we need to get our act together because we will be held accountable about all of this on the Day of Judgment. So yeah, a lot of converts do go through an immense amount of struggle within the community, but then there are also other converts that have a wonderful time and they get invited and it's wonderful. So yeah.
True. I believe this is true. I believe that Islam does not allow you to keep to your full culture.
False, 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 false.
False. You can keep your culture.
False.
I'd say, yeah.
It's false.
I believe that Islam does allow you to keep to your culture, but up to a certain point. I think that if it contradicts the teachings of Islam, then I would say that Islam has to take priority over that.
That's one thing, and it's a huge misconception. False, false, false. We are supposed to adapt all the Islamic traditions and Islamic based on hadith and sunnah, and take out anything that doesn't pertain to our faith, such as alcohol or pork.
Islam does allow you to keep your culture. And in fact, it's encouraged that you balance between your culture and the teachings of Islam.
Culture is a creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It is His artwork on humanity, really. It only becomes a problem if it negates Islam.
For me, I'm a Latino Hispanic background from Guatemala. Definitely like my culture is definitely different in terms of like the teachings and the background of Islam.
I'm still culturally an American. I'm still culturally from Tanzania, and I'm a Muslim. False. You have to say it in the presence of other Muslims. Well, you can.
I'm gonna say yes for that.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, you can.
I would say yes, true.
You can say it by yourself and then you be a Muslim, but sometimes people like to go in front of other people and then have witnesses and then be around the community.
Allah is your witness. I feel like that's really all you need. If you could be stranded on an island, but if that's what you feel truly in your heart, I feel like, yeah, of course, you could take the Shahada on your own.
Because it can be between you and Allah, and many reverts, converts, they're in rural areas where they don't have a masjid, they don't have other Muslims. So I do know that people have actually said their Shahada on their own, and then once they meet Muslim, they go and they feel like the need of saying it in public just to let the community know of who they are. So you can do that.
I believe Islam is an intimate connection that you have with Allah. So I think at the end of the day, the only witness you need is Allah, and it's not necessary to have another Muslim person there. The main point is just your connection with Allah, and I don't think it's necessary to have anyone come in between that, because the whole point of it is that it's just you and Him. I would say true.
A lot of them were, but I had a little bit of backlash at some moments.
So I'm gonna say yes, but because it's more or less in the middle.
True and false.
False. So that's the easiest one so far.
False.
False.
For me, my family and friends are already Muslim. I think for them, they did physically see me kind of change. I think they were just really happy that I was able to tell people that I was fine when they would ask if I was okay and actually mean it this time.
So it's like I had a lot of them were accepting of it. They maybe buy me kufis or buy me a prayer mat, help me out, and be accepting them. They didn't force pork on me, and they accommodated for me. But at the same time, there was a little hold me to a higher standard. Like, oh, you did that, but you're Muslim. See, that means you're not doing it. Da, 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 da.
My friends, I've told all my friends, they've all been supportive about it. I love that they are. It makes me feel good, because this is a new change, a new chapter in my life.
I lost friends when I embraced Islam, and I had hardship when I visited Mexico. It's important to make sure that you believe in what you just embraced, because if you don't believe it, no one else is going to believe it.
Converting or changing your religion is kind of frowned upon. However, that doesn't stop a lot of people. It didn't stop me.
My friends did not understand what Islam was. A lot of it, people just think it's a terrorist religion or oppressive for women. A lot of my family agree with that kind of conception. They also just are Christians, so they obviously have their issues with Islam separately, just religiously. But I found a group of people who were going to be supportive.
Some are, alhamdulillah. Some are neutral, I guess like mine. Some are really supportive. I've seen their mother, who's not a Muslim, wake them up for Fajr, and then she did it out of her own accord. Alhamdulillah. But many families are not really accepting or helpful when it comes to this. It's part true, but maybe more false, because it depends what you were doing before you were Muslim.
I would say false.
No.
False.
It's false.
False. Life definitely changes.
The perspectives change, Giving people 72 excuses. You have more patience, and things don't affect you as much because you know that there's something bigger.
I feel like your life stays the same if you want it to stay the same.
the amount of peace that you feel. I mean, a lot of people will cry when they're saying their shahada because it's like a weight has been lifted. It's amazing. Your life changes for the better.
Keeping better people in your company, having better habits, and just being more mindful in general.
For me, I just became a more loving person. Love wasn't necessarily something that was present my whole life. And I think understanding that it does come from within me and then being able to share that with other people, it really did make me make better choices in my life.
Yes. I'll tell you personally, like for me personally, I like to eat every 30 minutes. I got fruit snacks in my jacket pocket right now.
I would say it's true. For me, like even when I was younger, it was always really hard. Like I would kind of cheat, to be honest. It takes a lot of discipline, and a lot of us lack that discipline. And it takes a lot of time to learn that, because most of the time we focus on motivation, and that doesn't really take us anywhere.
False. It depends, like on the individual person, what's the hardest. For me, like fasting was hard. It still is hard. It's hard for everybody. But like, it's not the hardest.
False, but then it can be true because if you have a health issues or what have you, then you feel like you missed out, even though you have other options to give back or what have you. But personally, I love fasting. I think for me, the hijab was the most difficult thing. For some people, it is difficult, but for us in Catholicism, we have Lent. So we do have the fasting incorporated in Catholicism. And so it doesn't become such a burden. Make some goals and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to reach Ramadan. Ameen.